So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with.
I'm Luke from the Dirty Nil.
All right, some questions to say about the upcoming album, Free Rein to Passion. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
I love it. It's great to see that people are digging the songs that we've released so far. It's a bit of a heavier album, so we're glad to see people are. Seems like we're gonna see some elbows in the mosh pit this summer.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Fucking album rocks, man.
Oh
Thank
yeah, dude. That first track, it's on loop.
Oh, thank you.
It's so fucking good.
Glad you dig.
Hell yeah.
Of course. So is there any meaning behind that album title or cover art?
Well, the album title I actually stole from a French true crime documentary, and it was like the subtitles that I read because I don't speak French because the Canadian public school system failed me. But anyways, no, I didn't pay attention during French class. It's not my teacher's fault.
I
It's
get
French, it's okay.
Yeah. To summarize as quickly as possible, there's like a family in France, in rural France. One of the family members gets really rich, and the other family members goes insane, and terrible things happen because of their jealousy. And the detective who's investigating the crimes that transpire says it was free reign. It was free reign to passions. And I told Kyle that line, and Kyle really liked it. So we made it we kind of used it for our own purposes, which is like, this whole album is about us basically doing whatever the hell we want to do. And, we parted ways with our management. We just basically said, like, because they were telling us to do this and do that. And we said, we're going to do whatever the hell we want, and whatever happens, happens. But if we're going to do this rock and roll band like we love doing, we're going to only play what we want to play. And this album is kind of like our staking our claim of independence and our intent, our commitment to ourselves first and foremost. So that's kind of what the album's about.
Hell yeah.
The album artwork was done by our incredible new friend Carlo from Milan, Italy. He's on Instagram. He's Fat Gomez. Go check him out. He's amazing. I basically just sent him all the lyrics of the album, and then he picked out some of the stuff on the actual song "Free Reign to Passions" about nukes being dropped and stuff, and he kind of took that and took the parts that are talking about mental health and just melded it all into one insanely amazing illustration.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Well, started writing a bunch of the songs right after we finished Fuck Art, and it was during lockdown, and I haven't used GarageBand since I was like 16, and because we were all isolated from each other, I fired up the old interface again and started working on some songs to send over to Kyle. And that was the first time I've done that, so that was really fun. Like that's how the first song that I got together was Nicer Guy, and then we just basically started working on the other ones, which is like Undefeated and Bye Bye Big Bear was in that crop, and then I got COVID after we finished doing this little round of touring in the fall of 2021. And while I was sick with COVID, I wrote a bunch of songs, like just while I was super ill and like kind of in a bit of a haze. But I wrote Atomize Me and Stupid Jobs. And those are the ones that I can remember. But then stuff like Celebration and Free Reign to Passions were more of like kind of like a jam that like I just wrote lyrics over. And then The Light, the Void, and Everything, the last track on the record, I brought that in right before we started recording. I wrote it one day up in this room with my guitar, and just made like a voice note of it. And I was like, this song rocks. I was really stoked to show that to the boys, and it just came together really fast. I had the song all done, and so the arrangement was pretty effortless.
Hell yeah. All right.
Those are the songs that I can remember at least, and the rest of them all just kind of came in amongst those other ones.
All right. I mean, I thought you named most of the songs on the record. I thought you were just going to go like song by song by song and just tell us how they came about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else there was. Undefeated. That one was kind of another jam. Well, I would say Free Rein to Passions was the hardest one because I brought in like the music for it and we got together an arrangement for it, but I didn't really have any vocals. And I just kept pushing that off. Like when we were in the studio, I was like, I'll come up with it. And I was like sitting with my book trying to come up with it. And by the time we finished, like by the time we had, like, it was the last song we had to record, and our producer's just like, listen, Luke, like you got a bunch of songs here. This one just isn't quite happening. Don't worry about it. So I was like, damn it. Because I knew like the instrumental was really cooking. And then so John flew home. We were done. I asked him to send me the raw track of that song, of just the instruments. And I plugged in my old garage band again. I locked myself in this room and I just sat there with a microphone and like kept singing over it and over and over it until I came up with something that I liked. And then I called Sam up and I called up our engineer friend, Vince. And then I called our friend Nabby, and she came over too. And we all just sang the song in that closet there. I put the microphone in the closet, or Vince did, our engineer. We tracked the vocals and sent them out to John, and it rocked. So we put that on the album too. So I was really happy that it wasn't called Free Rein to Passions. I named it Free Rein to Passions after, like, when I had to write the lyrics. I think it was called Death Mission originally.
That's a pretty badass name.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. I might have to hold on to that one for the next album.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
The one that we probably worked the hardest on is, it's tough to say. I'd probably have to go with Nicer Guy, because we just had it around for a while and we tried many different types of arrangements, and I rewrote the ending of it. I had a different ending for it and I showed it to our friend Brett, and Brett was like, you're an idiot if you don't bring that riff back for a third time. I was like, all right, Brett, I appreciate it. So I changed the ending of the song. But yeah, we tried a lot of different arrangement stuff on that song. But I think like there's nothing really in these 10 songs that stand out to me as like being really hard. Like we just it came together pretty quickly. Like I had a bunch of the songs before we even started rehearsing all together for them. So sometimes it can be challenging when I have like a full song written to come up with the arrangement all together when it's kind of already too figured out.
Yeah.
But this time it seemed like really, really, really simple most of the time. Like we never stopped playing together, Kyle and I. So we have a really good musical relationship, and he was able to basically like take anything that I brought in and come up with great stuff too. And that would influence the arrangement. And same with Sam. Like this is the first group of songs that we worked on with Sam, and he was really, really fast on it. He's an incredible singer. And so we really had a fun time coming up with vocal arrangements. I don't think there was anything. This is probably the easiest. I mean, we worked on it really hard, but there's nothing that stands out to me as like the hardest song to bring together. Maybe it was Nicer Guy, but it still doesn't stand out to me as especially hard in our catalog. The fastest song was definitely the Light the Void and Everything. And Stupid Jobs was also really easy. Like that was just like done immediately. And trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, those were the easiest ones, I would say. But we just basically what we would do is we'd rehearse 2 or 3 times a week for 2 hours at a time, and just go through the list of songs. And when we got to a place where it was either good or we were kind of hitting the wall with it, we'd put that one down and bring out another one. In the past, sometimes like when I've been slower on the writing and we only had like 3 songs to work on, it can be a lot harder because like when you get to a wall with something, there's not really another thing to work on. And so you want to keep pushing against the wall. But this time we had so many songs to work on that we could just rotate them. And so nothing really got super tedious this time.
Oh yeah. And do you think that like the writing process for you guys was so effortless because you kind of removed that outside pressure like from your team?
That was definitely a factor. It was nice not having anybody in my ear saying, "Oh, we need this one for US radio." Like none of that happened this time. So it was nice to be able to just focus on what we want to do. And that time where we weren't allowed to be together and like we were locked down, I really just did my best to utilize that time and write lots so that when we could meet up, that we had lots to work on. So that was that was something that hasn't happened for us before, where when we started rehearsing, I had lots to bring, instead of like usually in the past it'd be like I have 1 or 2 songs when we first start, and then they kind of come in drips and drabs. And this time it was like, okay, I got 8 to start with, so we had lots to work on. So it never got boring.
That's awesome.
That's good.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We kind of had we basically made all the songs, took a listen to what we had, and I think it was kind of a no-brainer to put Light the Void and Everything last. And we kind of went back and forth on what to put first, but ultimately we went with the heaviest song that we had on the record. So that was pretty easy. We kind of debated about where to put the actual song, Free Rein to Passions. That was like maybe going to be the first song, but ultimately we decided to just kind of put it right towards the back, right before we slow it down and bring it to a conclusion.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace was at while you were creating this record?
Well, I was really going insane for a lot of it, because we were engaged in some serious like battles with our ex-management, and the world was shut down, and a lot of my rock and roll life had been reduced to like conference calls with my lawyer and my accountant and emails, and very little, like we didn't play very many shows. And so it's kind of like rock and roll for a while became like an office job exclusively, which wasn't really fun. And so the only refuge that we had, the only way that we could really have fun with our band at that time, was making these songs. And so it was really, really important and special to me. In a lot of times I felt like writing is like, it's something I have to do, and it's something that is work, and it's something that is painful to do and tough. And I definitely still have those feelings sometimes, but it was very important to me this time. And it was less of like, I have to do this, but I want to do this. And I have some things that I want to say. I want to get them off my chest. And it was kind of the only way of feeling some forward sense of momentum while we were wrapped up with all that conflict, and unable to tour. It was the only way that we kind of felt like we were still a band, was working on these songs. So they're really special to us.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you had them.
Hell yeah. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I would recommend any of the above, or also getting yourself the fattest Bluetooth speaker ever and just walking down the street with it next year. All of the above. However you want to listen to music that rocks. I think it's probably a pretty good workout album. It's probably a good like sit in your car and cry album in certain parts. It's definitely a good like party with your friends album. I think we cover a lot of good bases with this one.
I would agree.
Absolutely. Can confirm it's a good workout. I biked to it this morning.
Hell yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Hell yeah. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Louder, nastier, truer.
Fuck
Nice.
yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
No, I think whatever you feel, that's if our music can make you feel anything, then I think we've won.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That's fair. So are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Well, I kind of organized the recording of the album, and I did my best, but in retrospect, there were some things I would not do again. Like we went into this studio called Jukasa, which is an amazing studio, but it's in the middle of nowhere, and so we were all living there. And I didn't plan any days off, so it was just like every day for 3 weeks at this place.
Wolf.
So we all went a little bit insane. There was nowhere to really go, and so that definitely made us like really focus in on doing it. But it also highlighted to me that it's nice to have like a little bit of a breather away from something when you're working on it really intensely. And so the only difficulty came, I would say, when after we had reached like a 2 week point of just like being in this windowless building, in the middle of May, deprived of vitamin D, getting a little bit stir crazy, but it was still a lot of fun. Like we had an absolute blast. There was also a theater, like a Dolby Atmos theater in the same building, and so one night we watched Mad Max in there, and it was like louder than a Motorhead concert. It was incredible.
Oh shit.
And there was a basketball net outside, so that was fun. But the recording of it was very simple and easy. The only other kind of hiccups we faced is on Celebration. I sang it so hard for like a day because I just wanted to get it. I was having so much fun singing it that I kind of like I kind of fatigued my voice for a few days, so we had to take a couple of days off singing before we could come back to it. But that happens when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Other things that were challenging during the making of it, we didn't have a label. We didn't really have management, so we kind of had to plan it all out ourselves. And I know that sounds like really small, but it was pretty tough to actually get all this stuff together. It was kind of stressful organizing all the contracts and everything, like doing it all ourselves. But that was way more like the administrative business side of making the album was way more stressful than the actual making of it. The making of it was a lot of fun, and there was just some beautiful moments in it that I'll never forget making it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
I'm gonna go with banana and a hazelnut vanilla flavored coffee, black, small. That's what I'm walking out there with.
All right.
A black coffee and a banana? Are you okay? Like what the fuck? Like no, like nuts or protein bar? Or you're just going black coffee.
I might get a protein bar. Yeah, I don't know. Like I usually wait until we go to Whole Foods, and then I'll try and take advantage of I try and eat as healthy as I can on tour.
Yeah.
But being on tour is kind of like going to jail, and so like it's like in a way like so much of your time is spent kind of locked up in the van or locked up at the venue. It's kind of like a good time to focus on reading or doing push-ups. That's kind of what tour is to me. In our early years, like, we just hit McDonald's and we get super fucked up and have a great time. But the more into it we get, I think the more is demanded of us, and the more the more emphasis I think we all place on feeling good. So we try and stay as healthy as we can when we're out there.
Hell yeah.
That's fair. I respect it. All right. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
We would be a smash burger because I love smash burgers, and yeah, I think we'd be a smash burger with a brioche bun and like a half chuck, half bacon patty with some pickles and maybe a little bit of some hot sauce on it. I'd say that's how I see our band as a dish.
That's a
Sounds
beautiful
good.
burger.
Yeah.
Love it.
So for the last
But we aspire to be.
so true.
Love
So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Tiger. It's my favorite animal. I would love to have back muscles like a tiger. And yeah, that's it. That's my whole reasoning.
It's a good reason.
Back muscles. Hell yeah.
Back muscles. Yeah.
So if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That's a huge. I mean, I'd probably have lunch with Paul Westerberg from The Replacements, or I'd go out drinking with Winston Churchill. I can't either one of those.
Fuck yeah.
Solid picks.
All right.
So for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one album, one movie, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
I'm bringing one album. That's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Live at Leeds by The Who.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna have to go with my one movie. I'm gonna bring Goodfellas.
Uh-huh.
And what was the last one? One
Person.
One person. I gotta go with my girlfriend Denise. Maybe Kyle. I don't know. Coin flip. Don't tell either of them.
I won't.
All right. So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I'd like to plug our incredible new album, For Your Into Passions, out everywhere May 26th. And I'd like to thank anybody that is either just discovering our band or has been along for any part of the ride. We love you so much. Thank you for helping us do what we do. And hail, hail, rock and roll. We'll see you soon.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. It's been Luke from the Dirty Nil, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.